I forgot how to eat, how to sleep, and how to take a dump. I practically became invincible and inhuman at the same time. I'm addicted and perfectly fine. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm doing a recap of my 360 days spent in FF14 over the course of the last year. I started playing FF14 at around the same time as Asmonbo, and as I just went over my 1 year mark of this game, I thought it may be cool for me to provide my insights and my impressions of the game thus far. Here's how this video is going to be structured. First, I'm going to address what I like about the game, then how I spent a couple thousand hours in this game, then what I wish I could have done, what I don't like about the game, and finally a future plan. First, let's address the elephant in the room. I really enjoyed FF14. The story was, simply put, the best story I've ever played out of all the video games that I've ever played. All the twists and turns were amazing and it was just truly magnificent. It is really hard to pick a favorite story time, but I will just say that Endwalker in general is probably my favorite, but my enjoyment of the expansion would not have been so much if the previous expansions were not fun by themselves. FF14 is a progressive journey and everything builds up on top of one another. Don't believe the story is good? Then just watch some FF14 playthroughs reaction videos. If a game can make numerous grown men into their 30s cry, then you know at least there's something unique here. The combat is similar to how the story progressed. It started out quite boring but evolved into one intricate battle system after another. The visual effects were also quite blinding to the eyes in a good way as well. The musics were fantastic, as you can hear it now. I personally do not mind too much how a lot of content locked behind main story progression, which leads me to dungeons and raids. I enjoyed both. I found both the normal and the hardest ones to be both interesting in their own rights, mostly speaking. Now how I spent my time in this game. I finished all of the MSQ, leveled Dragoon, Dark Knight, my two favorite jobs, to level 90, and then Samurai to level 90 as well, then Mechanist to 65. I started with Dragoon since it is the coolest DPS class in this game. I did not do a lot of side quests including the raids until I finished the game with Dragoon. Then I got into Dark Knight, which is what I think the best in tanking classes. Casting aside the aesthetics of the two jobs for now, tanking for me was a lot more fun than DPS, mainly due to the queue time. Since FF14 has been around for a long time, it was quite difficult to queue up as DPS in some of the older required dungeons, which did break some immersions I had with the story at times. What I like to do now is to learn the fight with Dragoon and then just queue up as Dark Knight. The majority of my time, aside from the story, was spent in grinding out my Fashion Fantasy 14. I'm the type of guy who would basically do any content just for the glamours. That being said, I completed all the ultimate weapons for both Dragoon and Dark Knight using both jobs when completing them. I did not do a lot of Savage raids because I honestly think the default colors are the best. In terms of relics, Realm Reborn and Heaven's Sword honestly offer some of the best post-game content reward in my opinion, plus 2 armors, mainly just one from Eureka. I've completed the Realm Reborn relic weapon, which was the worst in terms of grind for Dragoon. I have also completed the Heaven's Sword relic for both Dragoon and Dark Knight, which was significantly easier to get as long as you have money. The final stage Heaven's Sword relics are the best looking in my opinion for both Dragoon and Dark Knight in terms of weapons. A relatively close second for the two jobs in my book is a stage in A Realm Reborn for Dragoon and the second stage of Heaven's Sword for Dark Knight. I have then completed the entirety of Eureka with Dragoon and got the Elemental Armor of Maiming set +2 and the final stage weapon as well. I did do the armor and the weapon for Dark Knight as well, but they were both only +1 since I do not like them as much as I did with the ones for Dragoon. My personal favorite Dark Knight armor set is actually really easy to get. It's pretty much the one from Endwalker expansion job quest, or it's not really even a job quest that you can just purchase it once you reach a certain point in the story. I also got the Eureka mount and minion as well. I will say this for Eureka, it was bad, and I finished like 10 movies while doing it. Then the Shadowbringer relic. I have only completed the first 2 stages for Dragoon and Dark Knight because I honestly did not like any later stages for the 2 jobs. I'm also on pace with the new Manderville weapon. Then since mounts are also a part or an extension of fashion, I have all the legendary mounts for 4 expansions, with the first 2 being my favorites. I'm on pace with the Endwalker legendary mount as well. The one from Zodiac was the worst grind for me. Then recently I grinded out the 3 mounts from the PvP collab as well as the PvP mount. PvP will be a topic that I will return in later section. Just know for now I spent a lot of time there and I did not like it. Finally, since somehow I view titles as part of fashion as well, I recently grinded out the hardest title in the game, the Necromancer. I do not wish to discuss the topic, to be honest, because there were too many times that I questioned my decision while doing that, but I got it, which is cool. I do have other random stuffs, both glamorous and mounts as well, but they were not as nearly as grindy as the content that I mentioned thus far, and usually did not take me that long to finish. Moving on to the next section, the major thing that I wish I knew or could have done was that despite how boring it is at times, a Realm Reborn story was vital for later development. I will not lie, I skipped through a lot of the post-MSQ quests for a Realm Reborn, mainly the Crystal Tower ones, because I was on the verge of quitting the game. I regretted about the decision gravely, and if I had knew about this, I will probably pay much more attention to not just the Crystal Tower storyline, but also a Realm Reborn story in general. I also wish that I have taken on the game in a more reasonable manner. The reason why I said that is because, as you can probably guess from the things that I listed that I do in the previous section, I was in a haste when playing through the game that I was trying to get through the main story and then can do all the other stuff that I did. I was in a haste not in the sense that I was skipping through story or cutscenes here and there, but more in the sense that I was mega focused and trying to push my physical limit to the absolute maximum when playing the game, and it was extremely unhealthy. As I was also trying to get a lot of the things that I did in the previous section done, I did eventually reach the point that which I'm still currently am, a little bit burned out with the game in general. Not that I don't like it anymore, but because I just literally played too much of it. That point probably happened when I finally got the Necromancer title, which was really difficult to get. And this kind of brings me to the first point that I don't like about the game: how long the story is. I know very well that this is exactly what makes FF14 story good, but at the same time the story alone was like 200 to 300 hours. An average gamer would not and probably don't have the time to complete a story this long, at least in a timely manner where they will at least remember what was going on in the last expansion that they played going into the next one. Especially given that many details of the story was seemingly insignificant at the time but would become important later on. Then the PvP. I don't care what you gotta say, but I don't like it. The crystalline conflict was fine, aside from the times that my team got absolutely wiped because the enemy team either has better jobs, compositions, or know better how to play, which is to stay on the fucking objective and not to 4-man chase one enemy better than my teammates. The front line was just straight up dog shit. The only positive is that it gives a lot of experience even when you lose, and that experience goes towards your job progression and also to your PvP series as well. I leveled my samurai from high 60s to 90 just by doing PvP stuffs, and I got my PvP series mon just basically by doing frontline. These are the two major things that I did not like about the game. Finally, what I wish to do in the coming year for FF14. First of all, I definitely need to take a break because, as I mentioned before, I am a little bit burnt out with the game as of now. When I come back, I will do whatever new MSQ they released, and I will finish the Mandeville weapons for Dragoon and Dark Knight, even though I simply don't think they will top my current favorites. By the way, if you are wondering why I only do stuffs for Dragoon and Dark Knight, it's because I really just don't give a shit about the other jobs. Then I will level some more tanks to level 90 plus my Mechanist. I may try some other DPS classes, but I may just not because I don't like them. I am planning on doing the besting slot for Dragoon and Dark Knight from the 6.5 Savage race when those eventually rolls around, because it is my favorite expansion and I do wish to at least do besting slot once. I also wish to grind out the Golden Saucer more to get the Cactus mount and the Fenrir mount. Overall, I like the game to the degree that it is currently my GOAT and would recommend it if you have a bunch of time just laying around. yeah, but that's basically it. I really had a blast of a first year with FF14, even though I was in a bit of a rush, and I will definitely pace myself better in the coming years. And I will make my second year impression with FF14, well, the second year. So, yeah, peace out.